Folks, we are now joined by former NFL tight end Ed Smith. Ed, thank you so much for jumping on with us. How are you doing?
Man, I'm doing good. Great to be in this environment, man. It's a lot of fun.
A lot of
fun.
people.
Yeah, a lot of people. A lot of people. Appreciate you guys having me on, man.
Yeah, Ed, I like to ask all the former NFL players, like, hey, how is it walking around in Las Vegas for a Super Bowl? 'Cause I'm guessing for a long time it was like, hey, stay away from Las Vegas, no gambling. But now it's, hey, go have fun.
Yeah, this was taboo, man. I mean, you could come here on your own time, but you definitely couldn't come here if it had anything to do with business, And it's working so far. We've had a couple of hiccups, obviously earlier in the season, but just strange to think we're in Sin City, getting ready to get the big game on. But I mean, it is what it is, man. The NFL calls the shots, and they called the shot here in Vegas.
You been enjoying yourself out here in Vegas?
I just got out yesterday because I'm right across the way in Arizona, so I just drove over. So I'm gonna find a little time to have some fun at some point. But yeah, it's all business right now. Get in, do some of these, have a little, talk, and then a little gamble later on for sure.
It's like Marshawn Lynch says, all about that action. I'm
Oh
all
yeah,
about that action.
oh
So-
yeah. I mean, you can't come here and not, let your hair down a little bit. This is where it all happens, man. And I haven't been over since before COVID, so
Okay.
this is my first time back in a while.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet the place has changed a lot since the last time you came
Yeah,
back.
yeah. I mean, all these stadiums going up, and and they're even talking about putting the baseball stadium right down there where where the Tropicana is. So they just continue to, to bring sports here. The more the merrier, I guess.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Ed, this weekend, the Super Bowl, it features two very good tight ends, two of the best tight ends. When you see Kittle and Kelsey, just how do you feel like the tight end position has grown from when you played?
Man, it has blossomed, and it's turned into what I always thought it should be. And I played in the mid '90s, late '90s, where the tight end was still he was deemed like a big offensive lineman or small offensive lineman that could catch, that type of thing. And now the position has evolved to, I mean, it's so integral to the great offenses. A great tight end, occupy the middle of the field, obviously catch the ball, has to be still a good blocker in my opinion, but still, I call a good tight end is the Swiss Army knife of every offense. He's got to be able to handle, solo blocking on his own, combo blocking. Then you got to get out in space and deal with, linebackers, safeties, catch the ball over the middle. And, there's all kind of blitz pickups. There's so much that a good tight end does. Whereas, your offensive linemen, all they got to do is worry about blocking. Running backs, they like to tote the rock and, block occasionally. But that tight end, man, he's tasked to do so much. And the position has grown, and you can see with, all these hybrids as well. I'm not sure if you know, my nephew's currently in the
Yes.
league, Irv Smith Jr. Yeah, and he's had a really good start to his career. Him and myself and his dad, my brother, we joke with him all the time about, the glory of the position compared to when we used to play it. But, it's all about evolution, man.
Did you and your brother force Irv Smith Jr. to play tight end? He has to be in the family?
No, he actually wanted to be a wide receiver at first, but, that body took over and started to grow, and he started to get a little weight in the pants, man. And, it was kind of deemed he would either be a slow wide receiver or a fast tight end. So he chose that route, and obviously you're playing tight end, you got to be able to block. And I think he, going to Alabama, he learned a lot of those great traits, playing under Saban and that system, and it really prepared him for the league. But yeah, he's definitely, I watch him like spread out all the time and flexed out. I'm like, how come I couldn't do that? Man, I tell him all the time, that looks fun out there playing like a wide receiver.
Speaking of that, we saw last year, and we've seen every time that the Kelsey brothers play each other and everything that they embrace, and obviously it's a lot of joking and stuff like that. Was that when you and your brother had to face each other a couple of times? Is that how it was with you guys? Just like, wow, look at where we're at?
It's a great family affair, really, and especially with my background. I played a bunch of minor league baseball before I switched to football. So for me to eventually get to the league, and then, he was already well established and his younger brother, but he'd been there for a few years. And for us to be standing on the field at the same time, several times throughout our career, it was, we used to always make it a point, like when the national anthem was played, we'd stand directly across on the same yard line, and just to look over and see my brother, and for him to see me and the hill that I climbed to get there, it was so special. My dad, before he passed a few years ago, him and my mom, they got a chance to travel the country following us, and we always made it, like I said, a real family affair when we played. Mom and dad would come out a couple days early. We'd have dinner together the night before the games, and then during game time, it was always business. But afterwards, both healthy, both ready to move on to the next hugs and all that kind of stuff. And it was really a cool thing to play against and with my brother through those years.
Were they split on who to go for, or just both of our sons come out healthy and both of them have good games?
Well, one season in particular was the Super Bowl run that we had in '98. We were still in the same AFC West with the Falcons and the 49ers. And I remember, my mom would never say who she rooted for, right? Well, I think it was week 3, we went out to San Fran and they dropped the bomb on our head. They just beat us down. The second time when they came out to play us, late in the regular season, I asked her, so who you rooting for, trying to get out of her. She said, well, since he won the first one, I'm rooting for you this time. But don't tell him, So, she secretly rooted for me the second one. And then we played each other the third time in the divisional round that year. I couldn't get it out of her. She wouldn't tell me. She just wanted us both to come out healthy, but she would never tell me who she was rooting for that game. And, they always just wanted both of us to be healthy, have a great game. And in that one, like I said, it was a win-win because somebody was moving on in the playoffs. But, yeah, they had a ball following us around and hanging out with us during our careers.
Ed, how good was your Dirty Bird that year?
You know what? I had a touchdown called back. So officially, I didn't even get my Dirty Bird on. But I was always that dude in the background, man. I was like the what was it, Gladys Knight? I was one of the pips, man. I'd just be in the background getting it on lightly. But yeah, I had it down. I was back for a reunion. I can't believe it's been 25 years for our Super Bowl team. They honored us this year back in Atlanta in December. So I went back and they had some on-field stuff for us. They had some of the key guys that did it, O.J. Santiago and Jamal Anderson. They had them actually do it on the field in front of everybody. Once again, I was in the background. I just watched that one. So,
just to kind of refresh my memory, that was the year that you guys beat the Vikings, Brandon Moss, the mighty Vikings, and the Anderson kicked that
11-point dogs going up there. Nobody in the world thought and we were 14-2 that year, but they were 15-1, and they had broken all the records with Randy Moss in his rookie season. Grant Cunningham at quarterback, Robert Smith at running back. Carter out wide. They were stacked. And it was one of those things, man, where nobody believed but us. And we went up there and we pulled it off. And that was the missed kick by their Anderson. And then we had our kick to win it. And I was actually on the field goal unit. I was the left wing.
Wow.
And I just remember as we were lining up for that one in overtime, and they called a timeout trying to freeze us. And, everybody's in the huddle, don't hold, don't jump offside, don't. And it was like, you talking about this pressure of the moment. But, we all got out there, we did our job. And Mort, he kicked it through the goalpost, man. You talk about joy and elation. I've never felt anything like that before in my life, bro.
Did you ever watch How I Met Your Mother?
No, I never saw that one.
So there's like an episode where one of the guys is like a big Vikings fan, and every time we go to the bar, thinking about that kick, that '98 kick, that was our year. So you made a lot of Vikings fans pretty sad.
Well, whenever it's amazing how many Minnesota people are around the country, especially I live in Arizona now. They're all over the place, and occasionally I'll be somewhere and they'll see my ring, and that is, and they can tell you exactly where they were the moment our kick went through, and their hopes were dashed. It was like the moon landing for some people. They remember exactly where they were, what they were eating, what they were doing. And I'll tell you what I remember. It was 2 or 3 hours after the game, and we were finally all done crying in the locker room, got showered and dressed and everything. We finally got out of the stadium in our buses, and we're pulling out. There were people still standing outside of the stadium, like in total shock and disbelief, because they were like, this can't be. And that's what happened to you. Them birds came up there and got you.
Wow. Ed, you were drafted in the 7th round by
Chicago White Sox.
and you declined to go to Penn State or Florida's football scholarships. What went into that decision of deciding to go the baseball route instead of the football route?
Baseball was my first love. That's, from the time I was a little boy, that's what I wanted to be when everybody, some kids want to be doctors, somebody kids be musicians. I always knew I wanted to be a baseball player. And the fact that I was a good to great football player, that was like a bonus, and that's what everybody wanted me to do. But I really did want to chase my own dream, and it was a lot of coercion going on, man. Everybody trying to talk me into taking that, and part of the process was we can let you come here on a football scholarship, and then you can play baseball on the side. And I knew what would happen. I would go there, eventually football would take over, and that would be the main thing, and baseball would go away, and I never wanted that. So that's why even before I got drafted, I signed a full letter to North Carolina, full baseball scholarship, and I told them I would play football on the side. That was the thing. And then what happened with the White Sox coming and drafting me, that was another story. But yeah, baseball, and the thing about it, I only played 1 year of football when I was 8 years old, and it wasn't quite my thing. I went and played soccer for 4 years leading up to high school. And when I got to high school, playing soccer wasn't cool. So I wasn't going to play soccer in high school, but the football coaches found out about me and then came and got me and, I say wrestled me onto the field, but they talked me into going out. And that's when, like I said, football became dominant. But like I said, the reason I chose baseball, because like I said, I was a baseball player, through and through. And I played 9 years professionally before making the transition to football.
What made you make the transition?
I was going through so much, man. I went through the steroid era, and and that was rampant even through the minors. And I can attest, I never took a steroid in my life. I would watch guys who were taking them though, climbing the ladder, and not just climbing it, they were shooting up the ladder. And then I dealt with the strike as well in '95, and I didn't cross the line. The owners wanted me to, that year, the '95 season, before the strike was taken care of, the owners wanted me to cross, because I was one of those perfect players, veteran line minor league guy. Come on over here. We can take a look. We'd love to see you, But I had signed my AAA contract. I was like, I'm going to honor that. And then when everything came to pass, when everything was settled, the Players Association, which while I was taking a stance for them, they had, once everything was signed, they forgot all about us, the support and everything like that. And then the owners almost felt like because I didn't cross for them, I was blacklisted as well. So I was up in AAA that year, started the season in Buffalo, and I was hitting like 380, leading the league in home runs, RBIs. So this should be it for me. I'm right there. I was only 24, 25 years old at the time. And they proceeded, meaning the Indians proceeded to sit me for 2 weeks straight, wouldn't put me in the lineup. And at the time, I played third base every day, first base. I played a little left and right, and I could DH. They couldn't find a way to put me in the lineup. Well, couldn't. They didn't put me in the lineup for 14 days in a row. I actually sat through a doubleheader in Des Moines, Iowa. We get back from that road trip. I'm still trying to figure out what's going on. All of a sudden, I walk in on that 15th day. My name was on the lineup sheet in the lineup. I was like, okay, oh, happy day. Went and played that day. After the game, was informed, hey, the organization loves what you're doing for us, but we want to send you back to AA so you can play every day because you're not. So I just knew at that point something had to be done. And I made a decision that I didn't know football was going to work out, but I was like, look, I don't care what I'm doing. I'm doing something other than baseball now. And it just so happened I put my, direction, or my pointed in direction of football, and it all worked out. But I was done with baseball after everything I'd poured into it, and to be treated that way and done that way over the course of my career, it was time for me to move on.
I'm sure it worked out for the best for you, but it would have been pretty cool to see you in the big leagues, maybe breaking Mark McGwire's record, home run record, that year or something.
Yeah, and I have some of my scouts and people that I dealt with. Al Goldis, who drafted me out of high school in '87 with the White Sox. He's our player development guy. He traded for me to the Brewers in '91. Signed me as a free agent in '94 to the Cubs. That man believed in me like nothing else. And he'll tell you to this day, I should have had a 10 to 12, 14-year big league career. It's just not how it worked out. But that's how minor league baseball is. But, I know several guys that I played with who dealt with the same thing, So my story isn't 100% unique. But like I said, the fact that I was able to turn and look to the direction of football, that was what makes my story a little different than most.
And before I forget, when you were talking earlier, Matt Ryan walked behind you. I'm like, oh, pretty fitting.
There you go.
Two Falcons right there.
Yeah,
So that was pretty cool. But one more thing for me, Ed. What have you been up to? Anything you want to promote or share or talk about?
Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, I do a national radio show. I've been doing radio for the last 6+ years in Arizona, the Easy Sports Talk Show. And we got the tap on the shoulder to go national last summer. So it's across the sports map dial. It's every 1 to 3 Eastern, Saturday afternoons on the sports map dial. It's called the Easy Sports Talk Show. You can go to the Easy Sports Talk Show on Facebook. We simulcast it on there. We're in 35 states, 98 affiliates across the country. And I travel and speak a little bit as well. But if anybody who wants to know what I'm up to, if you go to edsmithspeaks.com, you can check out the book. My autobiography was published back in 2005, so it tells the whole story, my run through, my entire life through sports and but beyond that. But yeah, edsmithspeaks.com. That's my handle on Twitter and Facebook or Instagram and all that as well. And like I said, if you go to edsmithspeaks.com, you can check out the radio show, check out the book, all that kind of stuff. And I really appreciate you guys having me on, man.
We enjoyed it, and honestly, getting all that perspective, because I mean, we've heard of like Deion Sanders who did both, and to see that other people were dual athletes like you, and then you saying baseball was your first love. I mean, that's incredible to see the way your career was. So
I got to give you guys a shout out too, man. The pretzels and the raisins, you guys know how to do it over here. That's how you treat a person when they come sit there.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You got it, man.